Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Oh, okay. I see hot. I'll take it. Yeah, boy! Welcome back to Manga Monday Book Club! We've been on hiatus for a while, but we're back. I've got an updated schedule down below in the description as to what Manga Monday Book Club is going to be reading in the next few months. I'm super excited to make Manga Monday Book Club and also just manga a bigger part of my channel this year, and I hope some of you guys join in on this manga adventure. But enough of that, our main focus today is on My Hero Academia Volume 2. I'm gonna give some brief, non-spoilery thoughts on this volume, and I mean brief, and then we are going to dive on into spoilers. This is one of my least favorite volumes in this series. I know it's necessary because it's setting some groundwork, but structurally it just kind of seems all over the place. I feel like it's trying to do a lot of things, introduce a lot of things, and in doing so I feel like it just kind of became really convoluted. But because I've read on in this series, I know that things get better in terms of how things are introduced. So if you're feeling the way that I felt about this volume, then hang in there. It gets better. In fact, if I remember correctly, I think the next volume in this series is one of my favorites. So those are all my non-spoilery thoughts on My Hero Academia Volume 2. If you have not read this, then you need to go read it and then come back and discuss with us. Join our manga loving family. We'd love to have you a part of the Manga Monday Book Club. It's spoiler time, my heroes, so let's get started. We open up this book with the purest of pure scenes. We have Deku's mom who is giving him a hero suit that she made herself. And we see this moment where she says she's sorry. She's sorry for kind of like giving up on him kind of, and not really supporting him on his dream of obtaining a quirk, even though I feel like she was really supportive. But regardless, my heart, my feels, I love the mom. I want to see more of the mom. And I know that the suit is supposed to look bad compared to everybody else's suit, but honestly, it's iconic. One of my favorite suits in his class. And also the fact that his mom hand-made it makes it that much more special. Though I know that down the line he is going to need a bit more of a durable suit, that's for sure. I mean, Deku is already almost killing himself with his own powers, so him going up against villains in that suit just isn't gonna work out too well, I don't think. Actually, I know it doesn't. I love that Deku's just like, this symbolizes my mom's love. How could I possibly wear anything else? The best. We've got battle training. We've got 2-on-2 indoor battles with a villain team and a hero team. Villains will be hiding this nuclear weapon, and the heroes must secure the weapons or capture the villains in a certain time restraint. One of the things that I actually really enjoy about this volume is we get to see a lot of different pairings, which is really nice. There are clearly students who are compatible in working together, and then there are the ones that just don't mesh well. We also kind of get to see which ones are willing to step up to the plate and become a leader. Deku gets teamed up with Uraraka, which will maybe be good training for communication skills with her because currently there are none. Boy chokes every time he tries talking to her. And of course they get teamed up against Bakugo and Ida. Bakugo just exudes villainous behavior, so when he's picked to be on the villain team, I'm just like, pretends to be shocked. It was interesting that they end up going against Ida though, because they are kind of becoming like a golden trio. Ron, Harry, Hermione, who? But them kind of going down that direction of becoming tight-knit friends does not stop Ida from going hard on them, because he's Mr. Serious about everything. Like literally everything. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a serious quirk on top of the quirk that he already has. Deku is the kind of person to always see the good and the bad in the person, but he always like leans towards the good side of them. And I don't necessarily think that that quality is a bad thing or a good thing, but it makes me wonder if it could cause some complications down the road. It's going to be interesting seeing him going up against villains in the real world, because I could see him being like, you may be evil, but you have a lot of good qualities inside of you. But for example, in this volume, when Uraraka asked Deku about Bakugo bullying him, he may be a jerk, but he's amazing. I would never be able to say that about somebody who bullied me. And then meanwhile, we see shots of Bakugo and he's just like, I'll surpass All Might and be the greatest hero ever. The contrast between those two is just so funny. I do really like this idea though that they're kind of like fated rivals. They already have so much history, and it will be really interesting to see if they continue to drift farther apart from each other, or if at some point down the road they kind of come together and work together. Give us that middle ground. I personally want a middle ground for them. Like I want them to like come together, sort out their differences, and be this super iconic duo, but I honestly don't think that that will happen. We're only at the start and Deku's suit is already ripped in half. Oop! His mom did a great job, but it's just not the most durable suit. He ends up kind of taking Bakugo by surprise. I love that he's just like, bro, I've been observing you for years. And on top of that, I've been studying heroes for years. I know the way you move. Inspirational speaker Deku shows up to the party. I'm the Deku who always does his best. Let us all aim to have Deku's energy as we make our way through this life. A to the men. I really love the little flashbacks we get of Deku and Bakugo's childhood. Even though it is sucky to see how terrible Bakugo is to Deku, it's really interesting to see that not a lot has changed with Bakugo's character. Like, he kind of is the same person that he's always been. He's super confident, he's independent, and those traits in him only grew stronger and stronger the more that he grew up. I really just want more backstory on Bakugo alone. It is nice to see like those moments between Bakugo and Deku when they were children, but I kind of want to see the things that are playing into him being the way that he is. His independent trait really shows up when he's paired up with Ida, because he pretty much just wants to do everything on his own. Like, he cuts Ida's transceiver off. It's quite evident that Bakugo is not a team player, but like, we already knew that. That's nothing new. I feel like not only all those years of Deku doing research after research on superheroes, but also the fact that he kind of grew up alongside Bakugo and interacted with him a lot really gives him an edge at going up against him. He's able to calculate his next move, and he also knows how he's going to react to certain things. So even though at times I feel like Deku is a little bit intimidated by Bakugo, and also he has all these awful memories of growing up with him and Bakugo being terrible to him, so I'm sure he's not easy to face off against, but at the same time, I feel like he's fully equipped to take him down. In fact, I almost feel like he takes all those bad memories of those times that he had with Bakugo and lets them fuel him as he's fighting him. And we see that when he goes up against him, he automatically has all these flashbacks to the moments where Bakugo undermined him, gave him the name Deku, which literally means someone who can't do anything, and just overall making him feel like a straight up loser. So instead of letting those memories weaken him, he lets them fuel him. I love seeing Ida try to take on this villain side and just seeing Uraraka like straight up laugh in his face because of how serious he was taking it. But it also killed me that he was just like, I knew you'd arrive, so here's what we did to prevent you from getting the object. Are you supposed to like just not give away your plan? Like, isn't that a thing? Or am I missing something here? Bakugo straight up plans to explode Deku with his grenade, and he's just like, he won't die if it's not a direct hit. This is what I'd like to call Bakugo logic, my friends. I truly wonder why All Might didn't put a stop to Bakugo. Did he just want to see Deku be challenged? Or was it because he knew his capabilities in dealing with something like this? Much to think about. All you Bakugo lovers, prepare yourself, because I'm about to compliment Bakugo, and this does not happen often. Even though his plan is nuts, he's a really great strategist. In my opinion, he is really impulsive, but he also has moments where he's able to execute a plan flawlessly. And we see that in the counterattack he does on Deku. That's the only nice thing I have to say about Bakugo today. Just take what I give you, Bakugo lovers. Y'all need to remember this moment because it's rare. But the thing is, Deku is almost always one step ahead. And when he finally pulls out his quirk and goes up against Bakugo with it, just like Bakugo had been begging him to do, it's used as a way for Uraraka to be able to secure the weapon. Chef's kiss. Honestly, such a satisfying scene. Another thorough, well thought out plan by Deku. So sure, while it probably wasn't good that Deku was letting his personal feelings towards Bakugo kind of cloud his mind while he was fighting him, he still managed to filter it a bit and achieve his ultimate goal of securing the weapon. It's so fascinating to me that Bakugo always takes everything that Deku does as mocking him, when that's like never been the case at all. In every flashback we've seen, there's nothing but respect in Deku's eyes, despite the way he gets treated, and he continues to be around Bakugo. Like, boy needs to wake the heck up with this fake narrative that he's created in his mind. Snap out of it. I'll admit, I find it very rewarding to see Bakugo lose to Deku. Because of how much he degrades him over and over and over again, it's kind of nice to see him fall on his face. I'm sorry, Bakugo lovers, but also not sorry. Just remember, I did compliment him not too long ago. It was really nice seeing Ida be praised at the end of this for being able to like adapt to the situation and like work with what he had. Even though I still feel like him spewing out to Uraraka what they done to make it more challenging for her was so dumb. Like, what you doing, bruh? So, we have this moment where Deku gets this bright idea to tell Bakugo how he got his powers. And what did you just do, Deku? I truly wonder if that will come back to bite him in the butt. All Might said, tell no one, not a soul. And he goes and tells his rival. Somebody make it make sense. But also at the same time, Bakugo was like, what the heck are you even talking about, you dummy? And I feel like he took it as Deku like trying to pull his leg or just like trying to mock him again because he's stuck on that fake narrative he created in his mind. So maybe he won't end up thinking anything of it and he'll just forget it. Poof, it's gone from his memory, I hope. At the end of this chapter, we see the villains learning of the fact that All Might is now teaching at UA, and them talking about what would happen if they killed the symbol of peace, which is a setup for what's going to go down later on in this volume. Before we move on, I want to talk about like part 1, because I feel like this volume in particular is like part 1, part 2, part 3. Like I feel like it's split up into 3 parts. Being the nerd that I am, I like to think about scenes and kind of the purpose that they hold in the overall story. So what purpose does part 1 show? I feel like it continues the rival between Bakugo and Deku. We get more insights to their history and kind of see more of their motives in going up against each other. And we also get a glimpse of what it looks like when they go up against each other. Part 1 also gives us a chance to see how the students work together. Some work well together, some don't work well together. What do you guys think part 1 serves a purpose for in this story? It's time to choose a class president. I love how Ida literally takes leadership before he even becomes the class president. He's like, listen up, y'all, we gotta do this election style. Even though Midoriya is initially picked, and I do think that, like, Midoriya has the potential to become a great leader. But I also know that he has a lot to learn. Like, a lot. Which is why I'm kind of glad that he doesn't remain in that position long. But also the fact that Ida got 0 votes, like, the audacity of these students. You've got a natural-born leader like Ida in your presence, and you're just not gonna vote for him? How rude. Though let's be real here, everybody pretty much voted for themselves. It's made known that Uraraka and Ida actually voted for Deku, truly the trio of the century. Sometimes the things that Uraraka says, I'm just like, where is this coming from? Like when she says, but didn't you want to be president, Ida? You even have glasses. What in the world do glasses have to do with being president? We learn a little bit more about Ida's background and how he comes from a renowned hero family. His brother is the hero Ingenium, and I feel like that probably gives him a really different perspective in how he approaches things, because he's probably learned so much and picked up on so many things from being around his brother. The alarm goes off and they're told to evacuate, and we're led to believe that something juicy is about to happen. But nope, just the press pressing up against the building, causing the alarms to go off, because their desire to get their next write-up on All Might is strong. The students were in full chaos mode and trying to get out of there. You'd think that they'd remain calm in situations like this, because that's what heroes gotta do. But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, they're still training. And who gets them to calm down? That would be our natural-born leader, Mr. Serious Ida. He gets everyone to calm down, and selfless Deku hands over the title of class president to Mr. Ida. When we see the damage the press did, it brought me back to the back of this person's head. I see you, Tamura, I see you. You ain't slick. I know you're up to no good, and the back of your head is ridiculous. All Might is making me so nervous because of the fact that he's just like rapidly becoming weaker and weaker. And now that he's passed on his power, he's having an even harder time upholding this like All Might persona, if you will. I don't want to say persona, but he's just becoming weaker, faster. I feel like pretty soon he's gonna end up being a goner, and I am not a fan of that idea. I need All Might around. Deku needs All Might. Mentor of the century. We see where Deku has told All Might that he told Bakugo, which I still can't believe he did that. And I can't help but be nervous of this thing that All Might keeps kind of subtly mentioning. Should the world learn of it, I have no doubt that all manner of scum would come and try to take it. Please don't let this be foreshadowing. Stupid theory time. Bakugo becomes a villain and then tells his villain squad about Deku inheriting his powers and tries to take him down. End of stupid theory. Next we have rescue training, which ends up being full-on villain training, except not training at all. A literal villain attack. I love how Tsuyu completely catches Deku off guard on the bus. Your quirk resembles All Might's. Thanks for Kirishima for coming through and interrupting this conversation, because it could have been bad. Even though what he says is kind of rude. Nah, All Might doesn't get hurt. That's a big difference, Tsuyu. And in that moment, Deku let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. I loved when they were on the bus and they were talking about strengths and popularity, and Tsuyu's just like, Bakugo's too unhinged. He'd never be popular. And then Bakugo gets furious and it's just like, what did you just say, frog face? And she's just like, point proven. I feel like I've noticed that a lot of the students just don't hold back with what they're saying. Like, they just call it how they see it. And I feel like that's the end of part 2 of this 3-part volume. So what does part 2 do for this story? I think it succeeded at giving us more insight into Ida's character. We learn more about his background and we see how he handles situations in a leader-like manner. And it also heavily hints at the villains showing up later on in this story, even though it's vague and you don't outright see what's coming. So we arrive at the USJ and it's got every accident and disaster you could ever imagine all in one place. I find it ironic that they're going for disaster training and it ends up being a full-on disaster. And not even because of the USJ facility itself, like because of the villains. The irony jumped out. Some of my questions about quirks were kind of answered in this volume, and I mean kind of, because we're not really given specifics. Space Hero 13 mentions the fact that quirks are heavily restricted and monitored. Again, that's something that I kind of questioned with the first volume. I was like, there's gotta be some kind of regulations to quirks in this world full of quirks, otherwise it would just be chaos. But we still don't really know how that all works, so my question was only somewhat answered. So at the USJ, their plan was to learn how to utilize their quirk in order to save lives. But things go south. I mean, you know things are gonna go south south when this is a full page. The face of a villain. And that they do. South they go. The League of Villains show up to take on All Might, but plot twist on their end, All Might ain't there. So they're like, LOL, let's kill some kids. Just as villains do. Aizawa really thinks that these eager kids who are superheroes in training are really just going to evacuate. Not happening. On the other hand, though, it's not like the villains are really going to let them leave. It's villain party time, my dudes. So they all get kind of teleported into these different areas within the arena. Deku's with Tsuyu, which I have such a hard time saying that name. Tsuyu, I think is how you say it. And the perv who must not be named. We do not speak of the perv in this household. We act like he doesn't exist. Tsuyu mentions the fact that they must have figured out a way to kill All Might, which I'm really curious if this is actually the case. Surely not, though. And also, stupid theory time. Do you think that Deku must be killed in order for All Might to die? Is that a stupid theory? I just feel like Deku is now an extension of All Might now that he's inherited his powers. Again, much to think about. End of stupid theory. The principle being a dog, bear, mouse breed is everything to me. Am I a dog, a mouse, a bear? The most important thing is I'm a boss. I'm the principal. While it is nice to kind of see who the principal actually is, it's also like your timing is way off, brother. It was just kind of infuriating knowing everything that's happening at the USJ and then seeing the principal being like, All Might, let's have some tea and chat. I kind of wish we would have been able to see more of how everybody was taking on each villain, which I think maybe we'll see more of that in the next volume. But I really like learning more about Tsuyu's abilities, which I mean, when we first see her, I feel like we know that she has this full-on frog-esque ability. Not to judge a book by its cover, but come on. I laughed so hard when Deku and Tsuyu just stared at the perv who must not be named when he revealed his quirk. Like, oh, your quirk is basically boba balls. Noted. The fact that Deku was able to come up with a plan involving the three of their abilities, the genius popped out. I gotta applaud that. I mean, Frog Girl I could have worked with, but Boba Boy, I would have been puzzled as to what to do with him. I found it so hard to like concentrate on everything that's happening in the USJ scene when they're going up against the villains, just because it's so chaotic and it kind of kept switching around to different students and villains. And I feel like we were seeing so many different angles of the fight. And this whole chapter was the one that I was just really overwhelmed by, and I had to like keep backtracking to make sure that I wasn't missing anything. Did anybody else feel that way? Am I alone here? Let me know in the comments. Can we talk about how much of a boss Uraraka is? I feel like she goes super underappreciated in this volume, both in the training that she had with Deku and in the moment where she helps Ida get the heck out of the USJ to go get some help. She's a freaking full-on queen and nobody is pointing it out. So due to the fact that Ida escaped, the villains have decided that it's game over. But first they say they want to leave some kids dead. But fear not, because All Might has arrived to the villain party. And that's our cliffhanger. We don't know what happens after that because we gotta read the next volume. Okay, we finished part 3 of this volume and I kind of want to just spill out my thoughts as to the purpose that I feel like it served, which I think it did 3 pretty big things. The main thing is that it like introduced the villains of this world. Not all of them, but we see the villains league. 2, it painted a target on All Might's back. It showed us that the villains are targeting him and are going after him. But 3, we also got to see more abilities come into play. We got to learn more about Tsuyu's power and Boba Boy, who we don't talk about. He can choke. So those are all my thoughts on My Hero Academia Volume 2. Now it's your turn to run to the comments and let me know all your thoughts on this volume. I'll be responding to comments all day and chatting it up with you guys. The next manga that we're reading together as a part of Manga Monday Book Club is volumes 3 and 4 of Death Note, aka the entirety of Death Note Volume 2 in the Black Edition. There should be discussions already up on the Goodreads page, so I will leave a link to that down below in the description. And the video discussion for this will be going live on February 10th. I got my dates completely mixed up, so I'm sorry about the date change. Also listed down below in the description is a list of what's to come for Manga Monday Book Club in February and March. I'm actually making it to where Manga Monday Book Club will be meeting every Monday. No pressure to join every Monday, but I just kind of wanted to work in some more manga, so I'm doing just that. That's all I have for you guys today. If you like this video, be sure to go and hit that like button. If you want to see more bookish content from me, be sure to go and hit subscribe or go and hit that bell icon and you'll be notified every time I post new videos. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope your day is bright, that tomorrow is brighter. Keep reading what your heart desires, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye.